UFC 306 has potential to be the worst UFC pay-per-view of the year by far. Dana White has focused way too much on trying to get Mexican fighters on the card than actually booking ranked fights. Outside of O'Malley and Merab, Grasso and Shevchenko, and Lopez versus Ortega, there's nothing really else on the card outside of Chiwiwi.
Yeah, but that's like way far down on the card.
That's the only early prelim.
Yeah, that we're gonna watch.
No, it's the only early prelim.
Oh, really? There's only one.
It's only 10 fights. So there's 5 on the main card, 4 prelims, and then 1 early prelim. Dana just wants that viewer retention.
So I haven't seen or even thought about this card very much, but you've rebooked it.
I have rebooked it, and I have tried to stay to the Mexican fighters on this card because I think that that's what Dana had to do to be able to afford to book this pay-per-view. So I stayed true to how Dana booked it. I kept a lot of the fights, but I just added a few fights that I think would make this card a lot better. So since Dana White dropped the ball, I'm here to cook.
All right, I'm excited. Let's hear it.
All right, starting off with the main event, I kept it the exact same. I think that there's nothing you need to change with the main event. I think Sean versus Merab is going to be awesome at the Sphere. And yeah, there was really nothing to change with that fight.
I mean, yeah, that's the best part of the card by far. Even though it's American versus Georgian, I still think of Merab as part Mexican. I don't know why. So, it's Mexican Independence Day, but I think it still works. This is a fight that I'm very much looking forward to. Mm-hmm.
I also kept the co-main event the same with Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Dana refuses to book women's championship fights. Like, male fighters that are champions take about 200-ish days to fight their next pay-per-view fight. Women's fighters, it's 300 days. They fight once a year max. Dana refuses to let them fight more than once a year. And I think that when you're at the top of the women's division, they're actually kind of entertaining fights. They're good quality fights. So let's get them on the card. Let's get some defenses for these women fighters. Usually
the top 3 to top 5, depending on the division in women's, is relatively competitive.
Yeah.
And high level.
Exactly.
But then when you get down to number 10 and number 15, I mean, they barely even have any women fighters below the rankings.
Yeah. I also kept the featured fight the same. We need to see Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega. It didn't happen at 303, so we need to see it here at the Sphere.
I have some controversial takes on this one. Look, Diego Lopez is a great fighter, but taking Dan Ige to the 3rd round and getting beaten in that 3rd round on 2-hour short notice from Dan Ige, I was not impressed. And Diego Lopez is a little bit overhyped right now. I'm going to say it.
Hey, I'm a believer in him, but I think that this is going to be a huge step up. And personally, if this fight hadn't been canceled at 303 and rebooked for 306, I wouldn't have booked it here myself. I think that there's other featherweight fights that you could have booked. I may have booked other ones, but this isn't the fight I would have booked.
Out of respect, you have to give it to Diego Lopez for how many fights he accepted. 145 and then catch weight, and then Dan Ige
at 155.
Or it was 161 is what they weighed in at, which is so random. Mm-hmm. So out of respect, as a BMF, you have to give a fight to Diego Lopez, and he's one of the most exciting prospects right now.
He's not a prospect now. He's ranked 12th.
True, contender.
All right, here's where I start to switch it up. In the second fight of the card, why is Brandon Moreno not on this card?
I don't know.
And we're going to match him up against Amir Albazi, who's the number 3 ranked. And we're going to match up Brandon Moreno against the number 3 ranked flyweight, Amir Albazi. Neither of them have a fight. They haven't fought in a while. And there's a clear need for a number 1 contender in that flyweight division. So let's book it. Brandon Moreno might be the biggest Mexican fighter in the UFC. Yeah.
Who else?
Alexa Grasso?
Yeah, there's more. I'm just not thinking of them.
It's Moreno, Yair Rodriguez, and Alex
really?
And Grasso.
That's surprising that there's not more, because you look at boxing and they don't dominate, but there's so many high-level boxers.
Mm-hmm. They just aren't in the UFC. There were more about 10 years ago, but they just really haven't been there lately.
I would have liked to see Yair Rodriguez on this card. I'm not sure if you have him booked later on, but
we'll wait and see.
All right, sounds good. But for that fight, I do like it. It's a good fight, and it's one that I'd be excited to see.
Yeah, it's a high-level flyweight fight. It would be an exciting flyweight bout.
Yeah.
All right, and for our opening fight, we got the guy we just named, Yair Rodriguez.
Nice.
number 4 ranked versus number 7 ranked Josh Emmett, number 2. They have fought previously, but there really aren't a lot of featherweights who haven't fought each other. Like the guys in the top have all kind of fought each other.
Yeah, that's like a trend in kind of all the divisions. Well, lower down divisions.
Yeah.
I feel like you get these super talented contenders, and then maybe you have like a really dominant champ. And then everyone kind of just has to wait their turn and circle around until it's their turn to fight for the title again. So I like this fight because Yuri Rodriguez is coming off of a loss to Brian Ortega, who's also on the card. So think about the presser. Maybe there's some beef there.
And if I was really booking a dream card here, there would have been a different featherweight fight I would have booked to be the feature fight. And it would have been Yuri Rodriguez versus Volk.
A comeback fight.
Yeah, like Volk's just sitting at home right now. And like you're booking this huge card. That would have brought name value to this card. You could have given it 5 rounds.
Yeah, as a co-main for sure.
It wouldn't have been co-main. It wouldn't have been feature fight. They've done feature fight 5-round fights.
But Volk deserves a co-main at least. So I think you have to kind of spread that out. And if you're putting Valentina Shevchenko versus Grasso, you're not going to put Volk above them because it's a title fight.
Yeah, but we want Volk on the card because it's supposed to be the greatest spectacle in sports entertainment history.
Well, he said that about 300 and it delivered, but the name value was not what we were expecting. I don't know. Dana's kind of selling.
All right, now we're going to get into the prelims. We're not going to spend a ton of time here, but before we get there, we are trying to hit 100 subscribers before UFC 306.
Let's go.
This card is cooked and I'm saving it. So please show us your support by dropping a subscribe. All right, on to the prelims. Why is Peyton Talbot not on this card? I know he's not Mexican, but he's your biggest prospect. There's going to be eyes on this card. Let this dude fight. It's not like he needs a crazy long camp either. He knocked out the last guy in 19 seconds.
Yeah, he doesn't need to recover.
Like, let's get Peyton Talbot fighting. Let's let him build up some wins. Let him get some KO victories. So by the time he's fighting ranked bantamweights, he's knocking them out.
I'm so excited for Peyton Talbot to actually face high-level competition. Like, after 2 more fights, when he gets, like, that Paddy Pimblett shot at number 15 or number 14 ranked, dude, he's so good.
Did you say Paddy Pimblett?
Like, once he gets a shot like Paddy Pimblett.
Okay, yeah, I was confused. I was like, casual.
He could probably beat Paddy.
No way. But yeah, and Peyton is going to fit perfectly into that bantamweight division. There are so many elite strikers I can't wait to see him face. Like, see him versus Song Yadong, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley. Like, all those fights are like, those would be bangers.
Yeah.
So for our feature prelim, I have Peyton Talbot versus Pedro Munoz.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
I think it's a fight where you got me talking about Patty. I think it's a fight where Peyton Talbot can come out here and just show his stuff again, get a first round finish, get another viral KO that the UFC can use to market him more. And by the time he's ready to fight a ranked opponent, he'll be ready. Next up, we have a fight that is actually from the prelims. We have Danielle Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. One thing I did notice when I was booking this card is that even in the prelims, it's all like bantamweight, flyweight, and featherweight because those Mexican fighters, they aren't very big.
Yeah.
Lightweight is the biggest fight of my prelims.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because there's no big Mexican fighters, which is going to affect the quality too. Like, it's not like we have unnamed heavyweights who could go out there and throw some hands and potentially have a highlight moment or a pretty decent fight. We have like unranked flyweights.
Okay, we also need to talk about the fact that heavyweights have not been throwing hands.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, for some reason, they learned how to submit each other, and we're kind of like, what's going on?
They all think they're like John Jones versus Cormier, like, oh, let's wrestle.
Yeah, it's been weird, but I think that's a good fight. It's probably tough. I didn't do any of the booking on this card, so I can imagine it's tough to find Mexican fighters.
It was tough. Like, I was like, there's no one else. Like, they have the top Mexican fighters outside of Yair Rodriguez and Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, so this is a good pick.
Yeah. Our third fight on the prelims is another fight that is actually on the UFC 306 card. It's a ranked fight. It's a ranked women's fight. Women's bantamweight. Number 5, Irene Aldana versus number 8, Norma Dumont. And you know what? Having a number 5 ranked fighter on the prelims is not your worst case scenario.
No, it's not. But I still never heard of them. Never heard of ya. I'm going to be honest. Ranked women's fight, number 5, I should probably know you, but
we don't.
No.
When we get to naming all the ranked fighters, women's going to destroy it.
So we have a video idea coming up where I'm going to be trying to name all of the ranked fighters, but I'm thinking of leaving the women's division out just because what's the point? Like, I don't want to name the Raul Rose Jr. lookalike.
You sound like Dana right now. All right, and for our last prelim, we have another lightweight fight because I got rid of all of the flyweight and bantamweight fights for the most part that were scheduled for the 306 card. It's another fight that I stole. It's Manuel Torres versus Ignacio
Bahamondes. There we go.
Like, I don't really know much about these guys. These are just lightweight fighters that are that one of them's a Mexican, so
you got to throw it on there.
We'll keep it.
Yeah.
And for our early prelim fight, I'm keeping it the exact same as Dana booked it. Raul Rosas Jr.
How do you say the last name of this guy? Arol.
Oh, I was waiting for a Chiwiwi.
How do you say the last name of the other guy?
It's actually his only name. Arrow Cooling.
Nice. That was pretty good pronunciation.
Yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this fight is I wanted to have our featured prelim be Raul Rosas Jr. versus Peyton Talbot. But I just think that you stunt one of their potentials with that fight.
Well, if that was the fight, you'd have to put that higher on the card. I already think Raul Rosas Jr. should be higher on the card.
I kept him here because Dana wants the retention. It's something that he does. In an ideal world, this would be our second prelim. But we'll keep the retention, keep what Dana's doing. He likes to have some bigger names lower in the card so that we have some viewer retention and not everyone's just turning in for the main event and maybe one or two prelims.
Remember when he put Rakic versus Yuri on the prelims of UFC 300?
Yeah.
What an idiot. This dude sucks.
Let me know if you think I saved UFC 306. This is probably the toughest card I've had to book, and I love to book cards, so we'll definitely do this more if you guys enjoyed it. That's going to do it for us today. Peace.
See ya.